So why do you think I take a break from gear reviews, from the adventures, from the shooting, and do these philosophy videos? What would you think? What's my motivation to do these philosophy videos? Yes, I want to help people. I want you to have a more fulfilling, happier life. That is my pure motivation for doing these videos. You clicked on the video, so I take it you're interested in the subject, and it is how to earn your dad's respect. It applies to daughters, it applies to sons. How to earn his respect. I think we're going to have a good time here in the bunker, and we are going to get real. We're not going to be politically correct. We're not going to go along with the zeitgeist of the day. We are going to seek truth in family relationships and how you are as an individual. I'm going to hold a mirror up to you, and I don't do this to make you feel bad. I don't do this to belittle you. I do this so you can take an honest inventory of where you are as a woman, as a man. Now, I don't come in front of the camera acting like I know all the answers and I'm a perfect example of a dude. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I have done a lot of living, though. I have put a lot of these principles into play, and I have found them to be true. And that's all I'm really doing, is imparting, I feel, truth to my friends in TMP Nation. And I want you to get, again, a happier life out of what I will name 10 ways you can gain your father's respect. Now, who knows? Maybe I'll have Mrs. Nutnfancy come in sometime. I know she won't want to do this. And make a video, how to gain your mother's respect. That would be an interesting video. But again, she will not do this. She doesn't like coming in front of the camera. She doesn't like being in the spotlight. She always says, I don't know what to say. And I get all that. So I'll probably have to do that video too. I'll do it from a woman's perspective. That would be pretty funny, actually. 10 ways to earn your mother's respect. I would have no problem making that video either. I know what to say. So how did I come about making this video? I mean, what brought it to my mind? I'll be completely honest with you. God brought it to my mind. There's your honest answer. God told me. No, I didn't have an angel come into the room and say, hey, dude, you need to make this video. Here are the 10 things you're going to talk about. No, but idea came to me. And I know when it's inspired, and I'm not going to get weird on you guys, but the things flow. So it's like boom, boom, boom. Literally, I made this note card in 2 minutes. These are all my notes. I'm not reading. It's right here. Right here. So that's how it came to be. And literally, the idea came to me today. And I was basically told to get to the bunker and start filming. So there you go. Right, wrong. Again, I'm not going to say this is the end all, handbook of how to win your dad's respect. But I think there's going to be some good takeaways from this video, no matter what stage of life you find yourself in. Maybe you're a 12-year-old, and maybe you're one of the young kids watching the Nutnfancy Project. I welcome you, and we've had kids like that grow up with me in my philosophy videos, my gear reviews, my shooting videos, and these individuals are now in their mid-20s, some older, and they have their own families. They have successful jobs, successful careers. Some are police officers, some are military members, some are medical personnel. And they started watching my videos when they were very young. I'm not going to say that I was the catalyst for all that to happen, but I do hear from them. And I do hear that, hey, the stuff you've talked about over the years is true and it has helped me. And so I hope to just stack a little bit more on that pile of, it's probably a pile, of Nutnfancy Life Philosophy. Now, perhaps you're watching this video, which I don't know how long it'll be. I suspect an hour, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe shorter. I suspect someone out there clicked on the video and they will say in so many words, I don't really care what my dad thinks about me. He's a loser. And I just don't care. And he did this to me, did that to me. He left our family. He did this to my mom. And I want to be empathetic with family situations before I say this. And I understand there are some destructive family situations and things that my audience members have gone through which are not cool. Both as young kids and maybe family violence, hopefully no abuse issues. And I want to be empathetic when I say this. So if an individual comes, he goes, I don't really care what my dad thinks about me. I don't care anything about him. I will say the following. Bullshit. I told you we're going to get real. Bullshit. You do care what your dad thinks about you, even though he may have flaws. You care. You clicked on this video. Gotcha. Why did you click on this video if you didn't care and want to know how to earn your dad's respect? There's a wide variety of fathers out there. Some are more equipped to be fathers than others. Some were taken by surprise by the event, maybe an unplanned pregnancy. Some had their own personal demons they're wrestling with, drug addiction, alcoholism, personal abuse issues. Maybe they were abused as a child and they brought that into a relationship. I get all that. Like I said, I've been around the block. I've seen a lot of things. Kind of like physical abuse in my own family relationship, not from my dad. My dad, I don't think he was ever physically abusive with us. He would spank us. He wasn't physically abusive, though. Usually we deserved it. That's just normal parenting in my book, even now. But my mom, after she divorced my dad, dated a wide variety of men. And I got to know a wide variety of flawed men. One of them was called Gene. That was his name. And he was extremely violent when he was drunk. He would beat up my mother. And my brother and I would have to launch on top of him, punching him, kicking him, to protect my mom. And so we got in some violent fights as Gene, only when he was drunk. When he was not drunk, he was a great guy. But what's it matter? He had an alcoholism problem, as did some others in my family. And we had to deal with it. And sometimes we had to kick his ass. Well, we did what we could. We're little kids. My brother is more of a fighter than me. He's kind of a badass. And we went through that. And the only reason I share that story is, again, I don't want you to look at the Nutnfancy clan, my upbringing, as being idyllic. It wasn't. You know, I bounced between basically Alabama and Virginia during my formative years after my parents got divorced when I was 7 years old. And I'd go down to Alabama. Mom's dating this guy. She married that guy. Didn't work out. And my mom was very attractive. I mean, she attracted guys. But long-term relationships, she had work to do. And it was rough. And like I said, I got under the hood and I saw dysfunctionality firsthand. And I had that right here in my face. But let's go back to Gene. Even Gene, right now I could be extremely bitter towards him. My mom ended up marrying him, then she divorced him. But I told you that even a flawed man has good things about him. I'm going to stick with that. Gene, again, when he was sober, was pretty much a great guy. He took us on swimming expeditions in Alabama. We did trips to the Florida Panhandle. He had a great sense of humor. He was warm. I thought he's a good guy when he was sober. He was a pharmacist, by the way, so he had a good job, good paying job, but he had a couple demons in his closet, and addiction was one of them. And you'll see in comments below, I'm going to post this on the B channel in YouTube, and I ask you humbly to come over to YouTube, and it will post simultaneously over there on YouTube. Because we're building our audience and our platform in YouTube. So the time for us to migrate away from YouTube for obvious reasons has come. So that's what I asked for you. You'll see in the comments, though, people that will totally relate what I've said to this point. Wait till I go down the 10 points. You're going to see a lot more comments. So make sure you subscribe on the platform this post's on. Subscribe at the bare minimum. Be a donor. Right now I'm using Patreon. They're the reason I do these philosophy videos. I do the hard work to test and post the gear reviews, buy the gear. They give me the money to buy the gear. So I'm not owing anybody for that gear. Be a donor. Thank you very much. They're the ones that create this content. Give me the platform to do it. Thank you very much. I'll put links below. There's a PayPal link if you don't want to be a donor. I'd much prefer you be a long-term donor, though. So I think you're going to see a lot of people understand what I'm talking about. So Gene had some great qualities, and my mom said as much too, even after getting beat up by him. Again, we ran to her defense. When we were there, I mean, I wasn't living in Alabama all the time. I would go back to live with my dad, and I'm sure there were times Mom got smacked around by Gene. And my mom's not blameless in this because she knew this quality about Gene and she still married him. Let's be real. So Mom knew that Gene was that way, still married him. And we warned her about that. It's like, well, I thought you said he's really violent when he gets drunk. Well, yeah, but he's, she was sounding like me, but man, when he's sober, he's awesome. And we're like going, yeah, we get that. But before we go down the 10 points, I want you to understand another thing about families. Don't think your family is weird. Don't think your family is the dysfunctional family, that it's only my family that has all this weirdness and dysfunctionality in my family. And you might look on the internet and all these horseshit, fake social media postings where people are snapping pictures of their vacations, and they're smiling, they're acting like their life is perfect. A lot of that is fake. They're doing it to gain the approbation of their friends, their relatives, to look cool, to be popular, to get likes, to get subs. So be careful how you consume the social media experiences of others where they present their family situations as idyllic. Chances are there's some skeletons in their closet too. They've got a weird uncle. They've got some weird brothers, sisters, dysfunctional. They may have some people in jail. They have some drug abusers. Don't think that this is abnormal. It's actually pretty normal. Another personal story to reinforce the point. So in the Nutt Fancy project, my sister, Vera Linus, worked in the project for a number of years, and I love her to death. Awesome. And if you go back to the older TMP videos, mostly on the A channel, also in the B channel, you'll see her comments, Vera Linus. She had drug abuse problems her entire life. I never told you that because I had to protect her. She had health problems due to her weight gain that she had to deal with. She lost a leg. She had to deal with that. And I hid all of that from TMP because I did not want to embarrass her. I did not want to burden her with this. And this lifestyle that my sister lived, speaking of skeletons in the closet, it caught up with her in 2020 and she died. So if you haven't heard, I mentioned it in a live stream on the Patreon side. My sister Vera Linus died last year due to health complications from all these issues, due to a body that finally said, Uncle, I can't do this anymore. And it was tremendously sad for us to see my sister go through that. And we had extended to her so much help and assistance in trying to have her improve her health. And at the end, I won't say she was like, as far as I know, she wasn't using at the end. We're not positive, but we were trying to get her to repair her body by eating better. She had one leg at that point due to diabetes. It just snowballed, and she never did it. She kept eating poorly, and all of these issues snowballed. She went and got plastic surgery of all things. Holy shit. Pardon my French. Holy cow. Whole different thing. That when she did that, she got a sum of money, and she's like, well, I'm going to go down to Mexico and get plastic surgery. Really? Don't do that. She didn't listen to us. She just did it. And it led to complications that were serious for her because it wasn't done correctly. And like I said, we all have issues in our families. I want you to know this because I want you to gain consolation here in the TMP family. It's normal. It's normal. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about will have you track not a straight course, but a safe course through the minefield of life. That's what I want for you. There are so many mines you can step on. One of them is addiction to anything: drugs, sex, alcohol, video games. You lose your freedom of choice when you're an addict. Again, I've seen it personally in my own family. Speaking of my dad, Grandpa Nutnfancy, a flawed man, just like all dads are, but a very good man, he took us kids aside and he said early on, he's like, listen, if you want to jack up your life, be an addict. And he mentioned all those addictions. He's like, be an addict. And you will lose freedom in your life. You won't have freedom to choose what you do, where you work, where you live. You'll be under the gun financially your whole life. You'll end up being destitute in most cases. Man, was that good advice. Thank you, Dad, once again. Took it to heart. I was like, okay. So I'd go out, with my friends in Alabama when I was in high school up in White Plains, Alabama. Out comes the keggers, the alcohol, the weed. And, I said, nah, I'm good. Well, mostly. I wasn't perfect, but I definitely did not become an addict. I was like, no, I'm not going to drink. And my dad broke the cycle of alcoholism in his family. His dad was an abusive alcoholic. Just like Gene, he was violent when he drank. He beat up my dad's mom, and my dad really didn't talk a lot about him. Corbett was his name. And again, he had a lot of great qualities. Corbett had some great qualities, but my dad basically said when he drank, it was bad. And abusive to the children, verbally abusive, physically abusive. And my dad, to his credit, he broke that cycle. He's like, okay, I'm just going to put that over here. And even though my dad's marriage didn't work out with my mom, and it didn't, they were married 10 years, my dad goes, well, I guess I'm a single father. I'm going to cross the desert alone. I'm going to do the best I can. And salute to my dad, because while being a captain, it's actually a major lieutenant colonel, active duty in the U.S. Air Force on deployments, flying full time, he raised us kids the best he knew how. And for the most part, it turned out pretty good. Sorry, I hate when that happens. Just kidding. Little humor in the bunker. It turned out pretty good usually. I just had that weird tick. No, Dad did pretty good. Okay, are we in agreement on that there is no such thing as a Ward Cleaver family? They're all jacked up. There's dysfunctionality in every family. But here's the deal. So what? Don't use it as an excuse for you to have a jacked up life. Just like my dad did. He's like, hey, my dad, my dad, I'm talking about Grandpa Nutt Fancy. He goes, my dad was violent. And he was an alcoholic. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. So he turned a new page. And guess what? There were things that my dad did that I made a mental note of, as you have, about your dad, that I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And what do you know? I didn't. I didn't let the past control my destiny. I didn't let the past dictate how I was going to turn out, how my family was going to turn out, and actually be used as a crutch for life failings. Nor do I want you to do so. So once again, if you have a jacked up family, welcome to the club. You're in good company. And again, I say, so what? So what? Hey, my dad did this to me. I don't give a shit. You're your own person. You cannot control what's done to you sometimes, especially when you're little, but you can control how you handle it and how you progress from that point. So we're all given a certain package of problems in life. Here it is. There's a package of problems. You have this, you have that. Some from your family. Some are maybe your personality attributes. We have those too, right? And they're handed to you. And then you have to determine how you're going to handle those life problems. Welcome to life. Everybody does that. Everybody. There's no one that sails through this life. And again, if you go to social media and you go, oh, that's a perfect life. It's got the perfect wife. It's got the perfect house. It's got the perfect job. You don't know the full story. Chances are he doesn't. He doesn't have it. Holy cow, 22 minutes in. Haven't even got to the list, but we are talking about real stuff, right? And I know here in the project, when we get in this vein together, this realness, you can feel it, right? You can feel how real this video is. There's no artificiality in it. I'm not doing jump cuts because I don't need to. The subject is interesting as is. I don't need music. I don't need special effects. You're with me. I can feel you're with me. Time's going to fly by. Fly by. Maybe one of the best videos you've ever watched in your life that will help you. How to win your dad's respect. And again, I'll circle back. If you say, I don't care if my dad respects me or not, I won't say categorically no. Very close though. I'll call BS on it. You want your dad to be proud of you. You want him to look at you as a son or a daughter and go, you know what? I'm proud of them. Even if he's made mistakes, big mistakes. Maybe he's in jail. Maybe he's done some real dumb stuff. He still wants to be proud of his children. And you want him to be proud of you. Can you admit that, please? Thank you. Thank you. Number one way to win your dad's respect. And again, this is going to apply to a broad range of dads, of fathers. Some will be highly successful. Some will be moderately successful. Some will be kind of successful. Some will be failures in life. But I can pretty much guarantee you, if you apply these 10 things, and I don't think you'll be able to do all 10, but let's say you get 7 out of 10, your dad's going to respect you. And hopefully he's man enough to tell you he respects you. Now, I was going to jump in number 1. We'll get there in 2 seconds. I got to back up a little bit, and I want to talk to dads just for a second. Dads, your job is to love your children unconditionally. They should know that you love them. You should express love to them. You should tell them. You should show them. You should be a good example to them of a man and as a dad. And if you screwed up in that life calling, apologize and do better. By the way, you're going to see that theme re-emerge in this TNP philosophy video. put the past behind you if you've screwed up, rededicate yourself, and do better. What sons and daughters sometimes don't realize, for most dads, is that they love you very much. They have different ways of showing it. Some not so great, but I can pretty much guarantee you, your dad, in most cases, and I'm talking like 97%, maybe there's a 3% out there that are just whacked. But let's say 97%, and I'm just spitballing here, love you. They want the best for you. They want the best for you. They don't want you to suffer in life. They don't want you to be unhappy in life. They want you to succeed, to be independent, to be safe, to be healthy. But what sons and daughters sometimes don't understand is that love is over here, and then you have man respect. And I'm basically focusing on the boys right now, men, the young men watching this video. So your dad loves you, but now, in my opinion, and that's all this video is, my life experience, maybe fused in with what my dad taught me, with what my mom taught me, what we have now is some confusion between love and respect with millennials, with the Z-Geners. They think they're the same thing, and they're not. You want your dad to respect you also, but that is not given like love. You have to earn his respect. You have to do things to earn that respect. And I'm just talking from me. Yes, I'm referring to my own sons, Tactical Doodle, Last Suspect. They have to earn my respect. It's not given and served up on a silver platter. Hey, boys, you did something moderately impressive. I'm very, very impressed by that. I don't do that with my boys. They know that. Is it a high standard? Yes. Is it a realistic standard of me giving my respect to them? Yes. And as we go down this list, you'll see what I mean. Are you earning your dad's respect? I don't know. Let's get under the hood. Let's look. Number 1, don't say, do. Think about friends you know. Okay, so let's leave the father-son or the father-daughter relationship for a minute and think about friends that you know, and I know you've had them, or you have them now, and they've given you all these big promises of stuff they're going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to make a scuba dive business in Mazatlan. 3 years passed by. Hey, whatever happened to that scuba dive business? Didn't work out. Hey, I'm going to write a novel 5 years later. Hey, how'd that book turn out? Didn't write it. Now, this is my perspective. People who talk a lot and they don't deliver, I don't respect. They're a dime a dozen. That's the world. Anyone can talk. Anyone can promise. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, you're not. How do I know this? Because you haven't done anything. It's a smoke screen that you hide behind. So people cannot point their finger at you and say, hey, you're not really doing a lot in life. And there's a lot of the younger generation that does just this. They hide behind a smoke screen of promises. If you want your dad's respect, are you paying attention to this? Very important. Under promise and over deliver. No, I'm not the first to ever say that, but in this bunker, it makes a lot of sense. Under promise and over deliver. No matter what. If you're going to get a job, kind of be on the down low about it. I mean, tell your parents you're working at it, but then you get it. If you're going to invent the cure to cancer, kind of say, yeah, I'm working on a science project. I don't know if it's going to work out. Boom, next thing you know, your son just invented the cure to cancer. If you're going to be a rocket scientist, awesome. But don't overpromise and then don't deliver. The way I look at it, you're falling into what all this generation does, and I don't mean to impugn any generation, let's just say everyone. Everyone talks. Here's a good example. So, Mr. Pilot here, right? So, flew jets, retired Air Force, 21 years. I can't tell you how many people, when they find out that I'm a pilot, they go, oh, dude, I want to do that. I actually started doing it. And what do I say? After hearing this a bazillion times, I go, well, why didn't you? And out come the excuses. Well, this happened, that happened. And I'm like, well, it's tough to do. That's for dang sure. It's really tough. Lots of obstacles to overcome. But I bet you those people who said they're going to be a pilot, they're going to go fly F-15s, they're going to fly F-35s, they're probably running around telling their friends they're going to do it. When I was in high school, I'm thinking of what I told my friends. So I had some great friends in White Plains High School. That's where I went to school. And I told them I was going to be in the Air Force. I was like, well, I want to go in the Air Force. I was thinking maybe Navy. Navy was trying to recruit me into the submarine program. And I was like, metal tubes down the ocean on a 6-month cruise with a bunch of dudes. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I wanted to be a close air support pilot primarily, but my timing was a little bit off on that because of a banked program. But I was able to do it. But I just told them in general terms. I was like, well, I want to go be in the military. I want to serve in the Air Force. And then came the real hard work of actually doing it, overcoming those obstacles and getting it done. And then I visited my friends while I was in the Air Force. I was going through squadron officer school as a captain at Maxwell was I captain? I was a captain at Maxwell Air Force Base. And I drove down, I visited them, and I kind of felt like I lived what I'm teaching you here is I under-promised, and I don't know if I over-delivered, but I delivered. And I was like, oh, dude, you're serious. You really did this. And it kind of blew their minds because they're like, remember, all my friends are country folk. They're great people. I love them. They're my brothers. I think of them like my own family. But it kind of blew their mind that, wow, Nutt Fancy did what he said he was going to do. Under-promise, over-deliver with your dad. Whatever it is. If you're in school and you have grades, work your butt off and impress with a high GPA. A high GPA shuts people up. It really does. And it opens doors, at least it did in the past, in this crazy upside-down world. I don't know what's going on now, but it did in the past. If you want to earn your dad's respect. And I guarantee you, he'll take note. So, hey, man, he walked softly and he carried a big stick. That's all we're saying. It's another way of saying that. Number 2, along this sojourn of life, you are going to fail. Even if you underpromise, something's not going to work out. You're not going to get the job. You're going to have difficulty with a course. You're going to knock heads with a boss. Things just go south. Sometimes it's your fault. That's okay, but don't make excuses. And point 2 is, and this is what I said was going to repeat throughout the video, is own up to failures and do better. You failed. So what? Everybody fails. Doesn't work out. So you're going to just sit down and quit? Well, the course was really hard. You don't understand. Yeah, I do. Things are hard. So what? Pilot training was super hard. Survival, difficult. Resistance training, difficult. Working construction as a kid, which I did, difficult. It's rough. My dad coming down 5:30 in the morning, hey, wake up, we got to go do some landscape work. We got to set a fence. We got to set 200 acres of fencing. Holy crap. Yeah, I did that. I told you my dad taught us to work. There's no freebie in my family. It's like, yeah, I got paid though. It wasn't like slave labor. I made good money working that way, but I worked my butt off. Sometimes you'll just screw up. I remember I'm setting a fence line. My dad specifically said, and I was digging it. I forget who, with my brother or one of his workers, and he's like, "Hey, this is your line. You're doing it on." And we dug the wrong line. It was skitty wampus. It's going over here. So he comes in, checks how the job's going. I'm like 15 or 16. He looks, he's like, "That line is digged." That's not where I told you to run the line. Do you not see the plot line? And I forget how he marked it, painted or something. I don't know what happened. We just got confused. And we didn't dig like all the holes. We're probably like 5 holes into it. So do I stand there and make excuses? Which I probably did at the time, but I'm going to pretend I didn't. Do I stand there and make excuses and go, well, the sun's angle, I couldn't really see the line you painted, and the shovel was crooked, and then the earth was tilting? No, you're right. I screwed up. I'll fix it. That's what you say. Oh, by the way, employers love that too. Own up to mistakes. Sorry, screwed up, misunderstood the instructions. Sorry, I'm late to work. It won't happen again. Sorry, I said the wrong thing in the meeting. I made the company look bad. I'm sorry. Won't happen again. I've learned from it. I'm going to press on. You have my word. Do that with your dad. And by the way, dads are really, really, really good at finding things you screwed up on. Right? They're almost magical. They can tell within 2 seconds that you didn't do the job right. You didn't follow instructions. You did something shitty. And they're going to call you out. And guess what? You deserve it. A good dad will call you out. He's prepping you for the real world, bro, sis. Own up to it. I screwed up, Dad. So sorry. Hey, I couldn't get good grades because the teacher hated me. You're going to have bosses that hate you. So is that the reason you're going to be unsuccessful in life? Holy cow. Oh, I couldn't turn in my homework. The dog ate it. I had software problems. It was raining outside. I couldn't finish digging that trench you wanted, Dad. And on and on and on the excuses go. Oh, by the way, I shelled out more than a few as a kid myself to my good dad. I was a huge excuse maker. Then that whole raining thing, digging a trench, I ain't making that up. That actually happened. My dad would make us dig in the rain when we wanted a swimming pool. I've told that story. If you forget, the short version is this. Hey, you kids want a swimming pool? Yeah. Yeah, we were living in Virginia. Yeah, we want a swimming pool. Cool, here's your shovel. Get to digging. I ain't making that up. And we dug for a full month before Dad brought in a professional backhoe crew, which was always his plan. He knew we weren't going to dig a pool. Are you kidding me? He was smart, though. He's teaching his kids, hey, you're going to get something nice, and guess what? You're going to work for it, because when you jump in that swimming pool, you're going to feel like you earned it. Something that this generation lacks. They feel entitled. Hey, I'm cool. I need a swimming pool. Hey, I'm pretty. Since I'm so hot as a girl, I need all these nice things given to me. No, bullshit. You go earn them. Just like everybody else has to do. Earn it in life. Own up to failures. Do better. Expect to fail. Failure is a normal part of life. Everybody does it. But don't sit on the curb and then give up. Evaluate how you screwed it up. And just learn from it. That's what life is about. Hey, how can I prevent this in the past? I stuck my finger in an electrical socket and it shocked the living hell out of me. I won't put my finger in the electrical socket anymore. Yeah, do that. Number 3, fun video. Surprise your dad with accomplishments. By the way, this will kind of tie back into the first one I talked about. Don't say, do. But have surprise accomplishments that suddenly you just pop out of the blue. Say, hey, by the way, I invented the cure to cancer. Just thought I'd let you know. By the way, I invented the cure to baldness. Just thought I'd let you know. Dads will dig that. Because remember, your dad already loves you. He just wants you to be self-sufficient, be independent, to have a comfortable life, to be safe, happy, and healthy, and maybe have a better life than he has. And so accomplishments is a great way of saying, hey, I'm on track for that. Hey, I just got a great job. It's salaried. It's not hourly. I'll be making $80,000 a year, Dad. Whoa, what? Where did that come from? Son, I'm so proud of you. I'm not going to say getting to that accomplishment is easy. It's not. It's hard for everybody. There's no fast track to all the easy success that this stupid ass society sells in pop culture, in social media, on television shows, on the news networks. They sell a life that is kind of artificial, a lot artificial. If you apply hard work, you accomplish things, you will impress your dad, guaranteed. Another example coming at you, Nutnfancy story time in the bunker, safe in the missile silo in Wyoming, by the way. My dad hated the fact that I had bought a 1966 Volkswagen Bug. I've told this story before, but it plays right here, so I'm going to quickly summarize it. He told me I would be better off driving that POS off a cliff and getting a minimum wage job, that I would make more money doing that than I would putting all the work into it, which I did, to fix it up and then sell it, which I did. Now, this is an important point I'm getting ready to tell you, because we're saying, how do we win our dad's respect? And there's going to be another talking point that's going to tie back into this. Don't interpret what I'm saying as that you have to go lockstep with what your dad wants for you in life. Sometimes he's going to be off. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know the real you. You have to plot your own course. And you just have to, and I'm already getting to that talking point, but I'll summarize it when we get there. You have to do what's right for you. So when my dad said, hey, you need to drive that damn car off a cliff, he hated it. It was ugly. It was like multiple colors. I basically said, screw you, Dad. I'm still doing it. But here's the deal, and it ties into what we're talking about now. So while my dad literally was yelling at me, using his tools, not supporting me, not coming out into the garage to work with me, I told you he had flaws. That was one of them, that he couldn't see the forest for the trees. He couldn't say, oh my gosh, this is a great project where I could go work on a car with my son. He didn't do that. I'm sorry, I'm being honest with you. He didn't. He should have. I know to this day he regrets it. Still love you, Dad. I don't hold it against you. I forgive you. But he didn't do that, so Nutt Fancy's out there all alone. I was like, well, screw you. I'm still doing it. I ain't driving off a cliff. I have a vision for where this car's going. I fixed that sucker up. Beautiful. Beautiful. Granted, it was twice I fixed it up. I wrecked it a couple times in between. When I drove that car back, and it was in its final form, I'll roll in a couple photos, which back then in the 80s, it was pretty sick. There weren't any bugs in Utah looking that way. My dad was impressed. And I hadn't told him that I'd scheduled paint, hadn't told him about all the final touches I put on it. So when I drove up, he came up and goes, I was wrong. That thing looks awesome. And he admitted it. I surprised him with an accomplishment. Take that to the bank. Next point. And I touched on this just a second ago, but here it is again. You can achieve success differently than your dad. Let's say your dad's a banker. He wants you to go in the banking business. And he goes, son, you need to be a banker. You don't want to be a banker. You want to be an Air Force PJ. Well, that doesn't pay well. It's dangerous. The school's difficult. And you're like, I know, Dad, but I really want to do it. Chart your own life, bro. It will work out in the end. Your dad may resist. He may hold resentment in the short term for you because you're not doing what he wants for you. And I think he probably has your best interests at heart. Remember that. So sometimes you'll go, oh, my dad's such an asshole. He wants me to do the banking. I don't want to sit at a desk 9 hours a day, 60 hours a week. Boring. You chart your own path in life. You don't have to be a cookie cutter of your dad. In the end, he will respect you for having done that if, big if, you achieve success in your pursuit. If you don't, then we go back to point one, where you say you're going to do stuff and you end up not doing it. And then dad's going to go, well, you failed at that and you haven't picked yourself off the curb and done it. I think you would have been better off being a banker. So in that situation, who's right, dad or son? And sorry, girls, I'm focusing on sons. I need to focus a lot more on girls. But saying everything I'm talking about applies to you as well. Hey, Dad, I don't want to be a banker. Cool. Make up a goal sheet. Associate those goals with a time. Very important. You don't just say, I want to be an astronaut. Okay, how are you going to do that? Well, in 2 years' time, I'm going to finish my college degree. In 6 years' time, I will have graduated U.S. Air Force pilot training, and I will have received some flight experience, and then I will research what it takes to be an astronaut. I'll apply to the schools, and I'll start fast-tracking in that direction to be an astronaut. Hard path. I want to be a lawyer. Hard path. Doctor. I want to be a professional welder. Hard path. I want to be a journeyman's welder. Awesome. Set some time goals. By this date, I will have done this. And then when that date gets there, if you haven't reached it, you need to reevaluate. Why didn't I reach this goal? What happened? Well, the sun angle was wrong. The shovel was crooked. I stuck my finger in the electrical socket. That didn't help. Don't make excuses. Evaluate. Be honest. But achieve success. It's okay if it's different from how your dad achieved it. And maybe your dad didn't achieve success. Maybe he's in jail. Maybe he doesn't earn any money at all. Maybe he has health issues. But he will respect success. I can guarantee it. And it doesn't have to be, I've been mentioning all these highfalutin jobs. Let's say you're a professional truck driver and you have a great salary, you have great benefits, you have time off. Your dad's going to respect that. Oh, my son, dude, he's got it going. He's got a great job. You can achieve success differently. Be brave. Envision. Believe in yourself. Go watch my video, Live to Impress Yourself. All those things I talked about still hold true. And some are echoing here because they are truth. Next way you can get your dad's respect. And I love this one. It's making me chuckle because it's probably quite unexpected in the flow of things here. And this applies to girls. It applies to boys. So it doesn't matter if you're a son or a daughter. But I'm going to say you're a son. Get a hot girl. What? If you're a daughter, get a great looking guy. I guarantee you, your dad will respect that. Why? Because he knows how hard it is. Especially if you're average looking, which most of us are. We're average looking. But if you find a really good looking girl, really good looking guy, you have a relationship with them, a serious, committed relationship, and it evolves. You get engaged, you get married. That's the end game in my book. You have a family. Your dad's going to respect that. Now, for my boys, I hear all types of excuses. And like I said, I love my kids. I'm so glad I'm a dad. So glad. And they do some great things. They really do. They do impress me with some of the stuff they do. But I hear from them all the time, oh, there's no girls out there. Or the girls are this, or the girls are that. They're such losers. I'm like, well, I don't see you going on a lot of dates. Yeah, but the shovel's crooked, the sun and the moon weren't aligned properly, it was high tide, and then out come the excuses, which again is part and parcel with those younger generations. They have an excuse for everything. And what do I counter with? Well, as a good father, I set them straight. I'm not an asshole about it, but I will say, I know it's challenging dating. And they'll say, well, you don't know. It's way different than when you dated. I get that. But I know one thing. There are quality girls out there. But you ain't looking for them, and you ain't qualifying yourself to find them. Look at yourself. Are you attractive to women? Do you have good game? Listen to Kevin Samuels in YouTube. Black gentleman. He's an image consultant. I listen to him all the time. Love Kevin. He's awesome. He cuts to the chase, usually with his audience, black women, and he's trying to help them as to why they can't find a husband. And he gets real. No political correctness. He gets real with them. And I just love it. I love truth. He speaks truth. Look in the mirror. hey, do I have game? What can I do to make myself attractive to the opposite sex? If you're a guy, having game means you're on track for a career. I think that's attractive to women because they want someone that's a breadwinner for their family. Hey, this guy will earn some money. We can have kids. We don't have to live in a van down by the river, much like that Nutt Fancy guy did. No, we don't have to do that. That attracts women. And suddenly, sorry, it's just the way it is. The more money you make as a dude, the more attractive you are to women. They can overlook some faults. This applies to both. Keep yourself in shape. Look good. Skinny's better. In shape's better. Good looking. Fit. Healthy. If you get a spouse in game, it can be a girlfriend, boyfriend, your dad's going to be impressed because he knows how difficult it is. And it's kind of a guy thing. Hey, my son scored a hot girl. It's bragging rights. Don't say it isn't. It's a guy thing. By the way, daughters, same thing. Hey, my daughter's got a great looking guy. He's got life like this. He's rocking. Dad's going to be proud. Why is that? Is it some perverse, oh, she's hot for my son? No. He's looking at your future. He's looking at your future. He's like, my son or my daughter has a chance at life happiness. That's what he's thinking. And I'm focusing on dad. I don't mean to ignore mom once again, but I don't have that much time. Sorry, we're going to be well over an hour. That's why. Because he wants the best for you. And I'm not going to back away from it. Get a hot girl, hot guy. Your dad will be proud. Moving on. And we've touched on this one also, but I want to break it out into its own point, and that is make money. Make money. How much money, Nutt Fancy? How about this? Enough to be comfortable in life. That's what your dad wants for you. Is it that hard to understand? Your dad doesn't want you leeching off him. Yes, he loves you, but he needs you to fledge, to be independent. Your dad knows he ain't going to be around. He's going to die before you, chances are. You need your own money. You need your own medical care. Do you have a job that has medical care? Your dad wants you to have that so you're taken care of. He can't wipe your butt forever. He wants you to do it, and so does your mom, once again. Make your own money. How much? To be comfortable. And it's different for everybody, really. It really depends on what kind of lifestyle you want. Do you want your own house? Yes. Do you want to have property? Yeah, ideally. Do you want to have 2 cars? Yes. Do you want to go on vacations? Yes. Okay. You need to make some money then, because life is expensive. Food's expensive. Gas is expensive. Utilities are expensive. Insurances are expensive. If you don't believe me, you sit down with your parents, young people, and you sit at the dining room table and you have them break out all the bills they're paying and get ready to get freaked out. You'll go, holy shit. I had no idea living is so expensive. Mortgages are expensive. Rent is expensive. Automobile repairs, expensive. You need to have some game to make money. If you want to earn your dad's respect, go out and make money. Now, again, back to that last talking point, or not the last, but a couple prior. You don't have to do it the way your dad did it. So if he's a banker, awesome. Maybe, I don't know, he's a construction guy, and he wanted you to be a construction guy. Hey, come into the business with me. We'll do construction stuff together. We'll build things. There's a lot of money to be had. And by the way, there is a lot of money to be had in the construction industry. A lot. But they work their butts off. They earn it. I'm all for it. But you go, no, I don't want that. I don't want to do it. I want to be, I don't know, a video game programmer. Holy hell. What kid doesn't want to be that? But let's say he goes, oh my gosh, he rolls his eyes and goes, oh, stupid. But then you come back and you show him the pay stub for, I don't know, $20,000 in 1 month. And it repeats. Next month, 20K, 25K. And this is, of course, after you establish. And I'm making up an amount. I don't know how much they make. But I'm making a point in that you show him the pay stub, or you don't have to show him. He just knows you have money. He'll be impressed. And if he's reasonable, he'll go, you know what? It's not construction. It's not banking. But he's making bank. He'll get your respect. Or you'll get his respect. Make money. Sounds easy, doesn't it? It ain't easy. It's tough. And by the way, this generation always wants quick, get-rich schemes. I'm not going to say those always fail. But have a job. Get a job, a long-term job, a career. Hopefully that's serviceable to our community. Make money, have benefits, have a 401k. Your dad will respect you. Moving on. And we're going to change gears with this one a little bit. And this is a fun video. Coming up on an hour already. This might surprise your dad, and I hope you do this. I want you as daughters and as sons, and this is, to gain his respect, but it's also to establish a firm, loving bond with him. Show love, show gratitude, and sometimes show forgiveness. Be magnanimous in life. It will bring joy to you personally. I give you that promise. The world says you don't have to do that. The world says you should hold a grudge. Screw them. He offended me. I'm going to hold this grudge forever. How dare my dad do this? How dare my dad leave my mom? How dare he say that to me? And so the world teaches you to hold that grudge forever. And you know what? If you do, it's going to make you miserable. It won't make you happy. It's going to be a burden you carry. You need to forgive your dad. He loves you. He's imperfect. He made mistakes. And do it while you're young. Don't wait until you're like in your 50s and go, you know what? That old Nutt Fancy guy was right. Do it young. Do it early. And make it have meaning. So don't do it superficially. Pray about it. Pray to Heavenly Father, hey, I need help getting over this issue with my dad. I need to be the adult in the family. Maybe your dad isn't. And I need to do what Nutt Fancy says and forgive him and tell him. And when you do that, I think a feeling of peace will wash over your relationship with your father. And that healing power will result in more love. And that healing power will result in him respecting you even more. And in some cases, he'll look at you and go, that's a man I wish I could be. That's the man I wish I could be. I wish I could be that magnanimous as my son. Because in some, and I'm using a fictitious example, I did some wrongs to the family and my son has forgiven me. My daughter has forgiven me. And that creates peace within a previously dysfunctional relationship. And you can move on. And you can build from that. Show love to your family. Show love to both your mom, and again, we're focusing just for now on dad, the dad-daughter relationship, the dad-son relationship. Tell him you love him. Mean it. And if you don't have love for your dad, work on it. Again, prayer helps. Forgiveness helps. Try to look for the good in him. Every dad has good. Look for the good. Help him if he needs help. Be the adult if you have to be the adult. Tell him you love him. And I'll tell you what, dude. He's going to respect you as a man. He's going to say, that guy, he's a man. Because it takes a man to do that. It takes a man to show true emotion. It takes a man to show kindness. It takes a man or a grown-up adult woman to show forgiveness. Where the world often will say there should be no forgiveness. Don't listen to the world. They're wrong. You listen to the world and what social media tells you. Well, not this social media, but the rest. You know what I'm talking about. You're probably going to have a lot of misery in your life because you're going to be chasing a rainbow that you'll never find. This stuff I'm talking about is real. It's as real as a concrete driveway out front of your house. Show love, show gratitude to your father. So maybe he's a great dad, that you don't have to forgive him for anything. He's done great. Early in your life, show gratitude. And we're going to get to another way you can show gratitude, but show gratitude and let him know that you're grateful for his work, for him working in the coal mine for you so you can have clothes on your back, food in your mouth, medical care, money for college, money for gas as a teenager in your car, the family car. Tell him that you're grateful. My boys have always been good at that. They've always been really good. Oh, Dad, we're so grateful that you did this. And it shows humility, really. Gratitude is humility. So if you're grateful to your Father in heaven, if you're grateful to your earthly father, it shows humility in my book. And don't do it to just dad. Again, we're focusing on dad, but do it to your mom too. Tell your mom. Forgive your mom if she's done something wrong. She needs your forgiveness. She needs your love. Your dad needs your forgiveness. He needs your love. Tell them. Next one. Honor your family name. Honor your family name. So if you have a certain family name, maybe in your family, for whatever reason, maybe again, there were some addictions, some abuse problems, I don't know, some legal problems, whatever. But maybe if you look in your family, you go, wow, I'm really not super proud of my family and what they have accomplished. It hasn't been much. Or maybe you don't know about your family, that you're just unsure about it. Honor your family name means, again, that you're doing something that not just your dad, but society acknowledges is good. Now, we're moving into a very strange time in our society where sometimes good is considered bad. And I've made videos on this. And I'm not going to talk more about that because I don't want to go down that pathway. But generally, if society says, that is important. That person right there made that building. They created that building. They are creators in society. Pipe fitters, welders, cement workers, electricians. They are the journeymen of society. That without them, we don't have anything. Dirty jobs, micro. That kind of thing. Maybe you're an EMT. Maybe you're a paramedic, a fireman. Maybe a doctor. Honor your family name. Now, when I say this, I don't mean in a prideful type of way that, oh, look at me. Yeah, I just did this. I'm a doctor now. I'm awesome. No, you do it for you. You're living to impress yourself. But along the way, if you accomplish something, you still have your family name, your dad's going to be proud of you. He's going to respect your accomplishment. And yeah, does it have something to do that society respects it? Sure. Now, I got ripped off. Again, with a Nutnfancy family history lesson, I got completely ripped off about my dad not being around when I got my Air Force wings pinned on me as I graduated as a second lieutenant, standing in front of a T-38 Talon, the plane he named, by the way. He wasn't there because he had died. He died in our plane crash. Not ours, but in a plane crash. So I didn't have that. I didn't have that closure of making my dad proud. At least I know he's up there and watching it, but he wasn't here on earth with me, experiencing it. Oh, and here's a cherry on top. My mom didn't come out either. I know. I never told you that. So here I graduate from pilot training. My mom doesn't even get on a plane to come out and see her son pin on his wings. Why? Oh, she's afraid of flying. Some stupid excuse. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. I had my good wife with me, Mrs. Nutt Fancy. She was there. Proud, happy. She knew firsthand how hard it was to go through pilot training. We had baby tactical doodle, by the way. Yeah, we were parents as I went through U.S. Air Force undergraduate pilot training in Del Rio, Texas. Laughlin Air Force Base. T-37s, T-38s. The planes I flew. But I didn't get that warm feeling of earning my dad's respect, which I wish I could have had. I ain't gonna lie. And honestly, in my life, and I told you I had dysfunctionality in my family, I'm kind of revealing some of it. There's a lot of times that as I went through graduating college, overcoming this obstacle, going through this training, going through that training, and accomplished a lot of things that I haven't even told you about yet, I didn't have anybody to revel with except Mrs. Nutt Fancy. And then as my kids got older, them. But my mom, not super proud. She didn't want me to be a pilot. She wasn't supportive in any way. She told me I was an idiot for doing that. I'm not lying. Don't do this. I want you to do that. I want you to be an actor. That's what she said. She's like, you should be an actor. And I can't act, but I was like, I don't want to be an actor. Remember I said chart your own course? Did it. Raise your hand if you did that. I did it. Friends told me not to go in the Air Force. You ain't going to do that. You'll fail. I was like, whatever. I'm doing it. I blew off a lot of negativity to get where I am in life. And I plotted my own course. And there were a lot of people pulling me down, including those in my own family. Sorry, just being real with you. Not saying I'm great. I'm just saying that luckily, man upstairs and I had this pact. And I was like, here's my pact. I'm going to work my ass off. And then whenever I fall short, I humbly ask you to make up the difference. Everything in my life is that way. Everything. TNP is that way. I work as hard as I can, and then sometimes I just can't work any harder. I'm out of juice. Heavenly Father makes up the slack, just like this video. Yeah, I would have loved Dad to be there, and here I am getting emotional again. See that I honored his legacy in his memory and his service in Vietnam, 2 tours in Vietnam, as a forward air controller, flying OV-10s, F-100s, whole bunch of other planes. It would have been cool. And by the way, I said, hey, you don't have to follow in your dad's footsteps. And I knew that as a kid. I really examined it. I was like, well, do I want to do what Dad did, or do I want to do something different? And I weighed it all out as a kid. And I determined this is what I want to do. Yeah, it's the same thing Dad did, but I'm not doing it for Dad, obviously. Otherwise, I never would have graduated from pilot training after he got killed. I would have just bailed. Another way to honor your family name, not just by accomplishments, and I don't mean to focus on that, but just by how you are. Are you a man of integrity? Are you a woman of integrity? Are you kind? Do you show kindness to people? Do you help people? All types of people from all different races. Do you help them? Are you honest in your affairs? Do you own up to your mistakes? Here we go back to the other talking point. Do you have a work ethic? People, by the way, know if you have a work ethic. You can't hide it. Your coworkers know. Your mom knows. Your uncle knows. Heck, your dog knows. Hey, that guy works pretty hard. He's always changing the water out in my bowl, taking me out on runs, picking up my poop in the yard. That guy's a hard worker. I like him. The world does the same thing. Are you loyal? Are you loyal to your employers? Are you loyal to your friends? Are you loyal to your family? Are you loyal to your family name? So honoring your family name isn't just accomplishing stuff. It's also how you end up being as a person. Again, don't believe the lies and the bullshit of the world, young people. Because they're going to tell you, everybody owes you everything just because you're awesome. They don't owe you shit. crap. They don't owe you nothing. You have to earn it, and you have to prove to them your worth, their respect. In a lot of ways, same to your dad. Next point, and we're going to get just practical with this one. I like this one. A lot of you all are still living at home. Maybe you're not with your dad. Maybe you're with a caregiver or a guardian. Caregiver, that sounds like you're in a rest home. No, you're with your guardian. Maybe it's your uncle, your grandma. But I can guarantee you, in the life that you live, in the household in which you live, young people, there's work to be done. Dishes to wash, lots and lots of things need repair, garbages to take out, lawn needs mowing, snow needs shoveling, money needs earning, help around the damn house if you want to have your dad's respect. Oh, by the way, do it without being told. So it's really easy, for a kid to be told, hey, clean the bathroom. Second time, clean the bathroom. Third time, clean the bathroom. It's a completely different thing. Dad walks in, bathroom's spotless. Cleaned without being told. Whoa, this kid's getting it. That's what I say as a dad. This kid's getting it. He's absorbing life lessons because all life is in the house is preparation for you to go out in the cruel world. Good luck. I taught you everything you need to know. Apply what I taught you. You'll make it. You don't apply it and you make up your own ways to success, you may not make it. That's what your dad, generally most dads will tell you that. I heard a term is like, hey, what you want to do as a kid, as a son, is pick up the football that your dad eventually will have to drop, either due to old age, he retires, and check out the direction he was running. Ask yourself, was it correct? And then run the same direction and advance the ball down the field. In so many words. It's a great way of thinking about it. Was my dad on the right track? Yes. If not, as I've pointed out in my own family, not my dad, but there's certain things in our family that weren't so great. Maybe you have to pick up the football and really examine the direction. Do I want to go down the addiction road? Go down the road of never having money, to have debtors after me all the time, not have medical insurance? No, I don't want to do that. Okay, so in that case, I need to run, not that direction, but this direction, and it's going to take work. That's what you do. That's what you do. And so it's a training ground for life, and part of that training ground are all the tasks around your house that have to be done. Car maintenance, changing oil, changing tires, chipping in for costs of those cars. Maybe you loan the family car. How cool would it be for you to come up to your dad and say, hey, by the way, here's $100 for tires that I use. Whoa, your dad's going to be blown away. It's like, that's cool. He's learning. Does your dad need the money? Well, maybe, but generally probably not. But he wants you to learn the lesson that things cost money and that you have the ability to sustain yourself. And the way he's going to judge you on that, in a lot of ways, is how you help or don't help around the house. If you're sitting on your ass playing video games and mom's doing all the work, dad's doing all the work, you think he's going to respect you? Do you think you've earned his respect? Just in this one example. Be honest. No, I don't, Nutt Fancy. Okay, let's go back to the other talking point. What was that again? What did I say? Oh yeah, own up to failures and do better. After you watch this video, I hope you look at life in your family in a completely different light. Well, not completely, because if you've been watching the Nutt Fancy project for all these years, and you've watched my life philosophy, a lot of this stuff has been covered, maybe not like this. And so, like I said, those young people who are in their mid-20s, they get it. They're doing this stuff already. But I hope you approach the relationship with your father differently. And that you acknowledge that, yeah, I want him to respect me. He already loves you, but I want him to respect me as a man. As a woman, I want him to respect me. That I am capable in society, that I've learned the lessons he's taught me, that I'm going to carry the football in the right direction and progress it down the field. Last point, and we need to wrap it up. Fun video. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. Told you, well over an hour. This is a weird one, dude. It's a weird one. Nutt Fancy, they've all been kind of weird. Oh, okay, not really. If you want to earn your dad's respect, and it really doesn't really matter of what, I don't know, what background he has. So maybe he comes from an educational background. Maybe he's a blue-collar worker, white-collar worker. Doesn't really matter. But I think if you are conversant with history, that's right, that you know history generally speaking, it will impress your father. That's one failing, I think, of our newer generations, is they don't really understand what came before them. And that's one reason our Constitution is under great threat right now. One reason that socialism slash communism has gained such a strong footing in this country is because these young people do not understand history. They haven't studied it. They don't care about it. They've been taught it incorrectly in the schools. Some of it is not their fault because they are products of, well, the school system, products maybe of their own upbringing. But we have this little thing that you're using right now. It's called the internet. And that internet can teach you lots of things. And there's lots of great sources for information. Start learning. Be conversant with history. Your dad will respect that. You know who does that? Tactical Doodle. Oh my gosh. You've seen it here in the bunker. He'll come out with these references and I go, what the heck? Stuff I don't even know. I was like, what is that? And he goes, well, he starts teaching his dad. Well, this happened during the French Revolution. This general in the Civil War. Impress your dad with your knowledge of history. And you don't have to be an expert. I don't mean to act like you do, but be conversant. Know every era. And if you're not going to go back to the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, at least know the modern era. Know World War II, for instance. You should know the lessons of World War II very well. One source that I use in YouTube is Mark Felton Productions. He makes these short videos. I wish they were longer. I like long form content. They're too dang short. They're like 10, 15 minutes. Come on, Mark. Give me an hour video. But he'll pull out these history lessons from World War II, from the German side, from the Japanese perspective, from the American, the British, the Russian perspective. And he does these great productions. And man, if you watch Mark Felton, you watch 3 videos a week, you're going to start learning about World War II. Lessons of World War II. Other great resources, World War I, the Civil War. Cuban Missile Crisis, what happened there? Know history. If you don't, you know what happens. You're doomed to repeat it, which we are doing now in the United States, because a lot of people don't know and do not appreciate the meaning of history. You should read books, by the way, not just the internet. I know I put a plug in for the internet, but there's a lot of disinformation on the internet. Seek out good books. Read them. And by the way, that makes you a more interesting person because you have something else to talk about besides modern warfare or whatever other video game you're playing. I don't know. What's that called? I don't know. I live real life. I don't do video games. Be an interesting person. I mean, holy cow, there's so many interesting things. Know history. Impress your dad. And he may not say so. Hopefully he's a man enough to say so. But he goes, you know what? My kid's smart. And more importantly, he knows what this world's about and where it's going. And honestly, as older generation, and that's what I am at this point, we want to know this world will be left to a generation that is worth it. I'm a baby boomer. Okay, and you know what the generation before me told me, including my dad? Hey, we made things pretty awesome for you. Don't screw it up. Freedom is hard to preserve. And if you sleep on the job, your freedom's going to be taken away from you. So you better pull your head out of your ass, work hard, and protect the Constitution, protect freedom. That's what my dad told me. And I took it to heart. I was like, okay, message received. And then I started studying World War II, and I saw the bloody sacrifices the greatest generation made for us to make us a free country, I was like, yeah, dude, I'm grateful. Remember that humility, gratitude thing I talked about? I was like, yeah, I ain't going to make that mistake. And your dad, honestly, if he's halfway normal, will want the same thing from you. We want to know that you're not going to screw this world up after we're gone, that you're going to make it maybe even better, and that you know about history and the mistakes that man has made throughout all of history, and that you will protect this country against those same mistakes, and he'll respect you for it. And that brings us to the end. Nutt Fancy, keep going, dude. I love it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love you guys. I really do. Very grateful to be with you in the bunker. I'm very humble to have this platform to talk. And again, my only motivation is to make your life better. Actually, to make your dad's life better, your whole family's life better. I apologize if I focus too much on the son aspect of it. Everything, I think most things I talked about can apply to daughters. Awesome, strong daughters that we need in this society to create awesome, strong families. The backbone of society, actually. I'm so happy that I'm able to talk with you. I hope if you have a damaged relationship with your dad, or maybe there's some tension there, that you can apply these principles and create healing, create love, and then just as important to love, says me, Nutt Fancy, create respect. Because there's something to be said if your dad, as you're an adult male, adult woman, and you've left the house, you have your own household, and your dad shakes your hand, gives you a warm embrace, and he goes, son, daughter, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you've done in life. Lieutenant Colonel Nutt Fancy, signing off. Thank you.